reveal our entire private medical information to the world.
Yes, yeah. What's happening with you guys here? Why everybody has Asians, we are more prone to. The data is very scary. 1 in 4 ages 40 and above have some sort of a chronic condition. People are really exploring, experimenting. How do we further prolong the lifespan of a human being?
One of us has really concerning results. This is your daily catch-up. Okay, so today we're doing something a little bit different in partnership with Prudential. We've been pushed to do something several of us have been guilty of putting off for a while, okay? And basically, we got our health checkup.
Woo!
Is that even the right way to say it?
Yeah.
We got our health checkup.
We went for a health screening.
Health screening,
Yeah, health screening is the new term now. Checkup
Okay.
is very 90s. lah.
Okay, but we've been holding off on seeing a doctor for our results because we decided that it would be helpful to everyone to actually do it on the show itself so that we can help demystify the whole process along the way. And so to help us with this, we have a guest on our show today, someone with 22 years of experience in healthcare.
Wow.
Please welcome Dr. Singh.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Is there a reason why you guys held it off for quite a while?
Actually, I always loved health screenings. Because as primary school, every year you get to go. But I feel like after 25, I didn't really have a reason to go. Life got very busy, like work was more important lah. But then as I grow older, then I slowly feel my body like start degenerating, right?
Wait. You felt your body degenerate.
I feel old. Like, sometimes you cannot do things as fast.
Yeah.
Then suddenly I think like, oh my God, is there a problem? So far I only went to like one other health screening before this. But it was like women's one.
Ooh.
Okay.
My friends around me, right, they all started like taking notice of like women health. So like that one included like the pap smear and everything lah.
Fun.
Interesting.
Okay, good.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I think I was very traumatized as a child. Like
Wait, what?
in
Let's unpack
primary
that.
1, right? They tell you like, okay, you're going to see a doctor. Then you're very fine because you miss classes and all that.
Yeah.
But then they didn't tell us that we were gonna get 2 injections
Oh,
at the
yeah,
same
first
time.
one.
I was shocked out of my mind. I don't know why. Maybe that was the moment that I got traumatized by needles. So ever since then, I just cannot deal with injections and needles.
Yeah, I thought she was exaggerating, but obviously, so we all went for the health screening together and was involved like drawing of blood. When Cheryl said that she was afraid of needles, I thought, okay lah, the usual like,
Everyone's
I'm afraid, but in the end
afraid,
it's okay.
yeah.
She really like just started
I
crying.
cannot I hyperventilate
Guys, this reminds me of something very interesting. When I was in medical school, we were a group of 6 students and we went to this class for general surgery. It was our first exposure. So we had a girl in our group. The surgeon who was operating, he asked all the 6 of us, said, are you guys scared of blood? And we said, no, sir, not at all. And guys, at that time, there was no laparoscope. You had to do the open surgery, the major one, right? So the teacher, who is also a surgeon, is explaining, now this is the scalpel. I'm going to make an incision on the abdomen and you will see some blood drops coming out. He made the incision. Blood started oozing out. And then next, I see someone falling over me. And then falling on the screen, and then falling onto the doctor and the table, and everybody is falling all around. And the patient has this incision, and the nurse is running around trying to stop the bleeding, and the doctor's scalpel is falling down there.
Wow.
I see that this medical student, she was already unconscious on the floor. So now the poor doctor, he just left his patient and was reviving this girl. That's why I asked you, are you guys scared of blood? And you were like, no, I'm not. Out of my class, out of my operation theater. I have a patient to attend. It took her a month or even more to actually get adjusted to the sight of blood.
Let's get to the results. Let's do it.
Alison?
Register number 1.
Okay,
Here you
okay.
go, doctor.
Properly. You never...
Angkat already, Zah.
Can I come in?
Hello.
Hey, okay, see, this is what I told you. Okay, you have it, you see? Why is it an HbA1c?
see?
This is exactly what I was talking about right now. 5.2.
Normal.
Super good,
Yeah.
clean sheet. Oh, hey. Good. Good, perfect.
I like to say that the past few months before this test, right, I've been eating damn unhealthy.
So actually you could be better than this.
I've been
He
eating like McDonald's and mala for like every supper meal.
Can you not like influence people to think that they can do this and still get good
No,
That's
stuff?
not the point.
It's not coming through. Everything looks okay here.
Why? I don't
She
understand.
is the exception, okay? Like, please eat right.
She literally just said that when she exercises and eats clean, her measurements and all that are worse.
Yeah,
than-
I
and
don't
she
know
just
why.
doesn't care.
I don't know why when I try to be healthy, right, my body just don't fit in with
It
it.
doesn't agree with it.
Like, but when I'm unhealthy, they're like, okay, let's go.
I think what this tells me, your body metabolism is good.
Wow.
So whatever carbohydrates you are eating, they are being broken down properly. They are being absorbed well. They are being excreted.
It is
everything
absorbed
good.
well here.
Here, everything is okay. As far as these reports are concerned, she's absolutely well placed in the normal range.
Wow. A+.
Thank you.
That's what you want to hear, lah. To be honest,
Thank you.
I'm now a little bit afraid.
Thank you.
So whatever you are doing, continue doing that.
Okay.
But my only advice to you is, do it yearly. Yeah. So this is
Yearly?
baseline every year. Every year, the test, the screening, baseline
Right, do a screening yearly.
Let's say at some stage you discover something which is positive here, which actually is negative to have something positive here, right?
It's almost easy.
Okay.
Then we need to do a deep dive there, and that's what's called timely detection. All of a sudden, you'll say, okay, the last 4 years, this problem wasn't there. Now it's come up. It's called timely detection.
Right. So I have to have like a consistent, so I can see when suddenly something is out of.
That's what timely detection is, and then it can be much easily managed.
You're going to thank Alison 5 years ago for doing all these daily screenings.
Every time you do a new health screening, you should bring your own results to the doctor.
You should. Absolutely, you should.
You got to give them context.
Yes,
Your
I
body.
see.
Oh,
Okay,
if you use
okay.
the Health Buddy app, right, you can track and then they will create a graph for you.
Oh,
Time.
the silence is
Oh
killing.
no.
You have to increase the brightness for her.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. Why would your cholesterol be high?
Is it because I eat 2 eggs every day?
That will do it. Saturated fat.
I mean, because sometimes that does contribute, especially if your body composition is not very strong in that sense that, I would assume your BMI, or you see, you need to eat well. Probably need to I don't think so.
I do eat
It
well.
doesn't show.
Cannot expose.
I eat
Diet
very
chart,
well.
diet chart, follow a diet chart, yeah?
Okay,
Yeah.
follow a diet chart.
Chart.
Meet a nutritionist.
So that means I cannot
Get
eat
your
whatever I
life
want.
sorted.
I'm not saying 2 eggs is bad,
Okay.
but I'm saying that it's more about a balanced diet, so yeah.
So what am I not doing enough of?
I think overall everything looks okay. You are marginally high on cholesterol, but at your age you shouldn't be borderline high as well. And this is exactly coming to the point. You see, this health screening helped her identify she's borderline high. Normally people are like invincible, right?
Yeah.
Who would even think that my cholesterol would be high?
But you know the weird thing is like I feel that I always eat very healthy. Like I'm the person that doesn't eat all the fat, all the skin that everyone usually loves.
It could be hereditary.
Hereditary, yeah, I was about to ask that.
Right.
Plus, she's very active. She always play golf and she's very good at sports.
Very active, she plays golf.
Hey,
Oh,
wait,
I'm going to
wait,
walk
wait.
and swing a ball.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was about to say,
Like, she played
I'm
ping
not so
pong
sure
that
golf
day.
is so active.
No,
Yeah.
since Cheryl joined the company got a lot more snacks. But I have to say, like just before we started filming, she literally laid out candy on the table and asked us to.
So I can reach.
All right. Okay, I'll show you 2 things because I think I need to give you context. So I'll show you this first, but after I'll show you my
professional.
Health Buddy app.
He's trying to impress you.
I'm not. I think,
Wow.
right?
The war.
Whoa,
Okay.
this is the biggest reaction we've had.
Yeah. He can see it for himself. It's bold and in a different color out there.
Completely different.
So he can deduce something is not negative here, something is positive, right?
In a negative
In
way.
a negative sense, right? In a medical negative sense, right? So what's happening here? Everybody seems to be having high cholesterol. What are you guys up to?
So I think unlike them, I've been doing health screenings for the last 3 years already, and I did identify that I had much higher cholesterol than this 3 years ago. And so when I met my doctor at that time, he also had a worse reaction. Actually, he was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And so then he made me like meet a professional nutritionist. I went for a checkup 6 months after that and realized that nothing had changed, even though I had changed my diet. And so I think we realized that it was probably hereditary. I'm more happy to show you my last 4 results.
So are you trying to tell me that this one is better than your previous
This is
results?
my best result.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow,
so this
man.
is, I converted everything into MMOL.
This is a good sign because what you are doing here actually is improving the bad cholesterol.
Yes.
Yes, so it's good. Now for the millennials, at the end of the day, these reports shouldn't exist the way they are, right? You should have
too young.
absolutely, you're too young to actually have this.
Would you say then I probably would need to get medicated? Because I've been trying to put it off.
I would say that if you could improve further here, and you may not need medication for now.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah.
Really, we can't predict how things change for the next 5 years. But today, I don't think looking at these numbers that you really need any statins or anything.
Okay.
I think
Nice.
whatever you are doing, it's a good job done.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank
It's a
you.
good job done.
Doctor, help! I didn't stress. No,
Why?
because just now after he mentioned positive means negative, right? The first time we look at the results and it's blue, I was like, okay. But now I realized that it's not
It's not okay.
It should have been red.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening with you guys here? Why everybody has high cholesterol?
Oh, I don't
Sedentary lifestyle.
It's the restaurants
I'm
downstairs, lah.
so active.
Whilst you believe you are so active, your results don't show that.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, like in actuality, he is the most active
Yeah.
among.
I think what you really need to track is not only cholesterol in your case, but also the body mass index, what BMI, what that actually means that, based on how much of weight we have as compared to our height, So there's a formula, there's a correlation between a human being's height and a human being's weight. And then we have certain benchmarks. So as I'm checking yours,
A nice way to call me fat.
yeah, you are already at the borderline level of now getting into overweight.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're at the borderline
Cannot
now.
tell.
Lifestyle wise, I do think I've been quite active.
Excuse me.
Diet wise, I don't really control. Stress? Yeah, stress.
Well, is it because of them you're stressed?
A bit.
Yeah, high chance. Mostly her.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really sleep a lot.
Oh.
Same.
I don't really sleep a lot. But how
really?
does that affect this?
A combination of different factors within the human body is something that when they come together, they impact us in such a way that they can lead to chronic conditions. So at the end of the day, a balanced lifestyle. Sleep is a part of lifestyle at the end of the day. Exercise is a part of your lifestyle. Healthy diet is a part of your lifestyle, right? A combination of all these things put together actually then gives you the right result. The good thing is this is all reversible at this age.
Yep.
It's not something that you say, okay, if I do everything, will this get reversed? Of course, this will get reversed.
It's not a death sentence.
Yes. As compared to a person who is in 70s and with all this picture, the blood picture, then it's not reversible. You just
Yeah.
have to then take statins, the drugs, and just live on, That's the difference between a chronic condition already developed and in full bloom versus something that you have detected timely at a young age. You have enough time to reverse it if you intend to reverse it.
So on the point of that, 1 in 4 Singaporeans around the age of 40, all of them have some form of like a
Chronic condition.
chronic
condition.
Yeah,
yeah.
chronic.
I think everyone needs to have this like vested interest in yourself in like, because everyone is looking after like, okay, am I earning enough to have a good life? Am I like finding a partner for a good life? But then we're not taking care and like
About the
looking-
life.
Yeah, about the life itself. It's so ironic.
You raised a very valid point, and that's why at Prudential what we have done is we have tied up with the Raffles Medical Group, and Raffles in turn has tied up with the Health Promotion Board because the data is, it's very scary. 1 in 4 ages 40 and above have some sort of a chronic condition.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, how do we make access to chronic care management seamless and simple, right? That's very important. And that's where we have tied up with Raffles, and now we are offering all our policyholders access to the 4 key chronic care management programs. Hypertension, that's high blood pressure, diabetes, which is increased sugar, then increased cholesterol levels, right? And the 4th one is a program around mental wellness, because that's also something
Okay.
else,
Oh, wow.
And we understand that people really need access to these programs. And if you are a Singaporean or a PR, there are huge subsidies that are also being provided just to enroll to these programs and get medications, get tests done, and get follow-up with GPs done. And all that is to a great extent subsidized by MOH. So that's why the focus, as the society is aging in Singapore, the focus is on wellness, prevention, screening. It's that important.
I think there was a year, my reason for not doing a health checkup that year was because I was afraid that if I go and test and I figure out something, depending on the results, they will affect the price of my insurance premiums.
Is any of that true? lah?
Yeah.
Actually, from a health insurance perspective, the intent of the insurer is quite the opposite. They want you to do health screening for the very simple reason that if you discover something in time, the costs for your treatment are lesser in terms of the severity of the cost. Right?
Yeah.
But that's the mindset change that we are all pushing towards.
I think something that is very mystifying for a lot of people is that whenever they go to a hospital's website to find out how much a health screening is, there's usually so many options. It ranges from below 100 and it usually checks maybe 4 things to thousands of dollars. What would you recommend in terms of that trade-off?
I think I would turn this around at the end of the day. It's not necessary that you have to really chase yourself and find something in your body. Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're healthy, you are healthy, right? If you are a person who is in 20s versus a person who is in 50s, your basic screening would be completely different, obviously, right?
Okay.
Because for someone in 20s, your metabolism is perfect, you are young, healthy, and the systems are working much more efficiently as compared to someone in 50s or 60s or 70s, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the level of health screening
Understood.
would be different. And I'm talking about basic health screening here.
I think going back to the conversation about why do people put it off, because Singapore is known to have a very long lifespan. I think it's 84, 85.
84, that's right.
But then I came across something very recently that there's this new trend of people understanding their lifespan now, which is actually a completely different term from something new called the health span.
Health span is basically defined as those years of life where you are able to sort of take care of yourself in reasonably good health. Now, if we translate that into simple language, you're able to eat on your own, take a bath on your own, do everything else that you need on your own, right? So those are your activities of daily living, right?
Functioning.
And you may still have chronic conditions because at 70 or 74 or 73, you would have some health conditions. They are well managed, right? So that's your health span where all this happens in a very routine process. When the gap starts coming in, so let's say we take the numbers that you shared, which are actually the correct numbers. So what happens between 74 and 84 then? Yeah? That's where your activities of daily living start deteriorating, right? Let's say if you have 4 activities, eating, bathing, washing, something else, for example. One by one, you start losing control of them. So you need caregivers to give you support, right? Then let's talk about chronic conditions. Say people living with diabetes for a long time, but well managed, and all of a sudden, the kidney gets involved. So tend to go towards kidney failure because of long-standing diabetes, right? Vision starts deteriorating, you start getting loss of vision to the extent that you really cannot walk on your own. So all this sort of then builds onto that story of those last 10 years where the body deteriorates to the extent that even though you have a lifespan till 84, but then you are really dependent on a lot of things.
Right.
And that's the difference between health span and lifespan. And that's where we start early. How do we really screen ourselves in our younger ages, identify the chronic health conditions, which either we have or we are at risk of?
Yeah.
And how do we then start managing that? The entire crux is actually around those 10 years because that impacts the individual, that impacts the caregivers, be it the family, friends, society, other people, right?
Yeah.
It impacts the country, it impacts the society, it impacts the economics of the country because you have to keep on funding for healthcare for those last 10. So if you look at it holistically, it has very serious impact on the entire ecosystem. That's why this whole discourse around how do we really ensure that, out of these 84 years, maximum life span is spent under the healthy lives.
Yeah.
It was because of this that I started to take the health screenings a lot more seriously.
Right.
Because it's I don't want to spend those last 10 years. I mean, whatever it could be again, are we part of the mean? Are we part of the average?
Yeah.
That was then how I discovered that I had high cholesterol and I started to manage it.
Okay, so,
Mission accomplished for me.
so the question actually is how early should I go for my first screening as a young adult?
My take on this is early 20s, maybe once every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
If there's no family history, nothing every 3 years is fine in the early 20s, right? As you move towards late 20s, once in 2 years maybe. But as you enter your 30s, I say by default, it has to be once a year.
Oh, wow.
Baseline screening, common ones, but do it once a year.
So given your experience in this industry, right, what do you see is something that you do that people outside your area of expertise just don't?
I would break it into 2 parts as individual, and then probably I come back to what we do as an organization. Because look, if we are really promoting all this, we need to walk the talk in that sense, right? As an organization. So Prudential provides breakfast and snacks, which is post-lunch snacks for its employees.
Life is good.
That is a diet chart that's set by a nutritionist for our employees. And our employees come to know about it every Monday, what they're going to get for that week. And for everything they are eating, they do see the calories present. And somebody says, oh, that's too much for me. I really shouldn't do this. This is okay for me. Let me eat this and skip the breakfast or something like that. So that's the level of awareness we want to imbibe from a health perspective.
Hey, that's a lot of savings.
Then we have fitness clubs for the employees, yoga classes and Pilates and Zumba and whatever you want, it's all there. Of course, not every day. We do it on a Fridays and people are encouraged to come and join these classes. For our policy holders, and this is very important, if you are healthy for the entire year, and how do we identify if you are not coming to us and saying, hey, I have been hospitalized, I want money from you, I want you to pay my claim. So that's fine. That's a part of the insurance product, right? But let's say at the end of the year, you say, I never got hospitalized for the year. We give discounts of up to 20% on their premiums.
It's like a car no claim discount almost.
20%. We say, okay, we reward your wellness. You have kept yourself aware. You've not been hospitalized. As your insurer, I just want to say thank you.
Wow.
If I come back to an individual and look at it from a clinician's perspective, two things that really help. One is de-stress yourself as much as possible, and which also includes have at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep, right?
Write it down.
And the second thing is some sort of exercise. If you can't do it daily, at least once in a week or twice in a week. You still put in the same number of minutes, maybe 150 minutes in 2 days, or 30 minutes for 5 days. You still put in the same thing, but some rigorous. Now, rigorous doesn't mean you run a 100-kilometer marathon or something, but something brisk in terms of a sport.
You should struggle to speak while doing it, essentially.
You better not speak, just do it.
I think a lot of people look at their health and think, okay, as long as I take care of my body, I will be happy. But there's also this social element, this wellness element that people often forego or not think about. It's always
absolutely.
That social element is such a huge aspect of your general happiness, especially as you age.
I love these sayings and proverbs. Right? So there's this one which goes like, human is a social animal, right? Because if you don't interact socially, it leads to stress. It leads to isolation. So then even if you have good health, it's going to deteriorate because you can't live on your own. That's why humans live in a society. They don't live alone because we are not an island that we're just aloof, right? We live together as families, as clans. Earlier we had clans and all that, right?
And it's so intertwined because say for example, my mental sharpness, if I'm 70, might be intertwined with my social wellness because I need to be able to go and meet my friends and play mahjong. Then, it's all...
Very well said. Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the world today, we get so many ads about supplements. Firstly, do we need to? And if so, what are the essentials?
It's a mix of everything that you really require at your particular age, as long as the supplements are validated. Because I see all these funny ads coming, you have this, your backache will go forever and everything.
I buy it.
So seriously, you need to validate what are they selling.
They say want to eat anything every day. Try this, that I buy.
And then how?
Then she get healthier.
Now you know it's this thing.
Whatever you're eating, as long as it's validated medically, as in it's a normal thing to have those things, you should have supplements. And as we age, supplements become more important. Or if we have chronic conditions or if we have critical conditions that reduce immunity, right? So these supplements are really helpful. For youngsters, again, a normal diet should be good enough, as long as you're 20s and 30s and all
right,
that.
okay.
I wanted to ask, you know how doctors always say you must drink 8 glasses of water a day? How did they derive at this truth?
And I met a child recently.
What?
And the child was showing off their Uwala bottle and also telling me that they were taught that they also have to drink 8 glasses of water. The child is the same size as the bottle. So how can an adult and a child need to drink the same amount of water? It doesn't make sense.
I think at the end of the day, it's about flushing toxins out of your body. That's one.
Okay.
And two, remember almost 70% of our body composition is fluids, right? So what water does actually, it cleans the system. It cleans the system. Now, I am not so sure the child has also been asked. Maybe it was a general discussion that a human needs, because it's not about 8 glasses, it's about 2 liters, right?
Okay.
Oh.
Like that.
Because glasses come in different shapes.
Sure.
So 2 liters is the golden number. Is the
Which is
Yeah,
eight glasses
generally,
lah, correct lah.
generally if
Okay.
each glass is around 250
250.
ml,
I see.
so you talk about 2 liters. So is an ideal goal to achieve.
I believe there was some controversy maybe 2-3 years ago when a study was shown and it was classified based on race, that there were different like health problems or health issues associated with different races. And I was wondering why that may be the case. Why certain races in Singapore are more likely to get certain ailments.
No, that's true. There's a genetic predisposition for certain conditions, right? So in Africa, there's a certain predisposition for some health conditions which we don't see in Asia. It happens less for Asians. But if you look at Asians, we are more prone to diabetes.
Okay.
And this could be maybe genetically because of a predisposition towards sugary food, a lot of sugar and all that. I'm just assuming that, you know, I've not done this genetic research, but clinically we say, yes, Asians are more, And then even within Asia, so if you look at South Asia, if you look at Southeast Asia, if you look at East Asia, South Asia, which is like the Indian subcontinent, has the highest predisposition for diabetes.
Oh.
So from
Like
that
sweet
perspective, it's
stuff.
very true that predisposition leads to certain health conditions which are predominant in that particular area as compared to
right.
other, yeah.
Okay. To some extent, I mean, like even though there was some like internet rage because everyone was like, why did you have to classify based on race? Actually, or ethnicity, it might be important, especially as we're trying to get to know our bodies better, or the urgency of trying to get health screening, to know that okay, maybe there might be some propensity or like health.
No,
risk.
I mean, it's a medical fact at the end of the day. Even the basic thing like BMI we discussed, right? You would find a difference, not huge, but there is a minor difference. So then, so that's what. So for the Asian person, this should be the normal BMI, which is not a normal BMI for the Caucasian.
Right.
So it's related to race, it's related to your genetic predisposition, the area you live, and so on and so forth. It's a fact.
Okay.
So one of the things that we asked Dr. Sid, what the future of his industry looked like, and you shared some quite
very
interesting experiences that you've come across.
Oh yeah. So I think
The glasses are off.
Seriously?
two
you
things
stress
really. No, I'm
You
just
got
looking
that.
at.
We're going
You
deep.
need to lower your stress levels.
I'm just trying to understand. On one hand, we are talking about the longevity, and the challenges associated with that. It's good to live long, but there are challenges associated with that.
Okay.
And one of them is what's the difference between your health span and your lifespan? Because that's where the challenges come from. But what is important is, in spite of these challenges, the world is moving on and people are really exploring, experimenting. How do we further prolong the lifespan of a human being? Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but if we are really doing research on that for the future, we also should be working very hard towards how do we increase the health span of a human being.
Yeah.
Because if the healthy health span is still 75 and you're going to live up to 125,
Yeah.
can you imagine what's going to happen in the society, right?
Suffering.
That's one aspect of it. And then realistically, the other aspect is advancement of medical technology. Medical science is advancing at such a rapid pace that people by default, forget about what the research is happening in making us live till 130. That may happen in a few decades or so. But the advancement of medical technology is happening every year as we speak. More advanced drugs coming out which fight the cancers and which fight other chronic conditions, right? Or devices coming out that really help you in managing your chronic conditions, which means then you are prolonging the life of a human being. From 85, you may go up to 90 or something like that. But the key question would still remain, how do you prolong the healthy lifespan? Because just prolonging the lifespan, in my personal opinion, is not the solution.
Yeah.
Then what you are doing is basically you are expanding the gap between a health span and a lifespan.
Prolonging your
Plus, you're using up more
Yeah,
resources.
in a way, right?
Yeah.
So it's a crisis then,
Yeah.
You need caregivers, you need more money. Because you have to provide health care for healthcare needs. You need somebody to give care. You need so many other, you need hospital beds, you need more doctors, you need more nurses, because these people are going to fall sick in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So that is where we are all moving. And therefore, it's very important that we need to focus on the health span, How do we prolong that more?
Yeah.
How do we reduce the gap between the lifespan and the health span?
Makes sense.
I came across cryopreservation also recently because I was just looking at a few more of these things, right? And a team has been able to actually figure out how to cryopreserve humans, like the stuff you see in sci-fi films.
What?
Like freeze yourself.
Like Alien.
After you
Literally
die.
freeze your body and your mind and your consciousness, everything, and then
Revive
defrost
it
you.
later.
Thaw you.
Like
Yeah.
Austin Powers, you know? Yeah. Like
Straight from the Star Wars and all that.
Like these are the things that we are looking at now.
And I tell you this, we won't be around in the next 50 to 100 years or 150 years as this generation, right? Who would have thought 100 years back that things like AI would exist?
Sure. Yeah.
So whilst today we believe this might be fantasy, I'm almost certain it will not be a fantasy in 100 years' time. And what does it mean at that time for societies, for countries, for nations? I can't predict. We will survive as a race, but we may be something else, not in this shape or form, or something else.
And we just can't fathom what that is.
I can't
We
at least.
won't know, yeah.
I can't at least. Because if you ask the monkeys of 1 million era before us, they won't know that we would be their sort of successors.
They will say, ooh, ah.
So thank you so much, Dr. Sid, for
Thank you guys.
helping
Thank
us
you
with
for
our
having
health
me.
screening results and sharing all this very interesting, insightful information. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Before I went, right, actually I don't know what I'm testing for.
Huh?
As in, I normally when I go health screening, right, they just say, okay, health screening, but I don't really know like what are like the 5 main things
Yeah, I thought they
looking
just-
for.
Sure.
That's a good question. But what is surprising to me, you just went in for some testing without knowing what you're being tested for. Yeah?
Because I assume they're just
man.
gonna
You
give me the
Just walk into a room, say, okay, whatever you want to do, just
take my blood.
Just do it. Yeah?
yeah, I just do that all the time. Like, okay.
That's
No, as in like I don't understand there will be like some letters. Like C something, R
This is
something.
exactly why. No, because right, the funny thing is before this, we get our results sent to us via email.
Yeah.
And when we open it up, you kind of read it, and then somewhere it just
understand.
said good for hers.
Yeah.
And then she was like, good what? Okay, why do I need to see a doctor after that? This is exactly why.
No, and I think there's a lot of terms, right, that make it a little bit difficult to understand because it's not great for like the lay person. So for
Yeah.
example, like a high cholesterol test is called like a lipid profile. Like
Yeah,
I won't draw
don't
two and two
know.
together,
Yeah.
you know? So
Hey, but if you understand everything there, then what's our role? We are left without
for the advice, for the next step.
So you have to come to a doctor, seek advice, get expert
No wonder the
opinion.
footnotes them small.
Okay.
Lipid, then you see lipid, bro. Is
yeah.